My stepsister had an affair with my boyfriend and my stepmom. Full story exposed. You won't believe the wild twist my life took when my stepsister and my boyfriend got involved. I'm sharing all the juicy details. It's not just a simple cheating story. It's a tangled mess of betrayal, family drama, and heartbreak. Let me take you on the wild ride that has forever changed my life. Imagine this: the people you trust most, the ones you consider family, suddenly turn your life upside down. My boyfriend and my stepsister, two people I cared about deeply, did the unthinkable. But wait, it doesn't stop there. My stepmom. She got caught up in this mess too. I never saw it coming. And now, I'm going to tell you everything. So let's start at the beginning. Growing up, my family situation wasn't exactly picture perfect, but it wasn't terrible either. My parents got divorced when I was young, and eventually, my dad remarried. That's when I got a new family, my stepmom and her daughter, my stepsister. We didn't immediately click, but over time we got close, or so I thought. We were two teenagers navigating a new family dynamic, and we bonded over the awkwardness of it all. Fast forward to a few years later. I was in my early 20s, living my life, and had a steady boyfriend, someone I thought I'd spend the rest of my life with. We'd been together for a little over a year, and things were great. Or at least I thought they were. He seemed like the perfect guy. He was kind and attentive, and I trusted him with all my heart. I thought I had it all figured out. I mean, who wouldn't? A loving boyfriend, a stepsister I got along with, and a family that, while blended, was functioning just fine. But little did I know, beneath the surface, there was a storm brewing. The kind of storm that tears everything apart when it hits. It all started with little things, tiny moments that, at the time, seemed insignificant. But now, looking back, I see they were red flags that I just didn't want to acknowledge. My stepsister was always friendly, maybe a bit too friendly, with my boyfriend. She'd joke around with him and tease him in a playful way that felt normal at first. I mean, it's great when your family gets along with your partner, right? That's what I thought. But as time went on, something started to feel off. At first, it was small things. My stepsister would text my boyfriend more often, asking for advice on random things, school, life, whatever. I didn't think much of it because, in my mind, they were family now too. They were just bonding, or so I thought. Then there were times when I'd noticed them sitting a little too close on the couch during family movie nights or whispering to each other when I wasn't paying attention. I'd catch them exchanging glances, but again, I brushed it off. I didn't want to seem like the jealous girlfriend, especially not with my own stepsister. It felt ridiculous to even think that something could be going on between them. But the signs kept piling up. My boyfriend started making excuses to hang out at my house when I wasn't around, claiming he just wanted to help out with things around the house or spend time with my family. At first, I was happy. I thought, wow, how sweet of him to want to get closer to my family. But then it started to feel like they were spending more time together than I was spending with him. There were little moments when I'd feel this pit in my stomach, this gut feeling that something wasn't right. But I ignored it. I trusted them both. I told myself I was just being paranoid. And then came the day that shattered everything. It was a regular afternoon. I was scrolling through my phone, killing time before meeting up with some friends. That's when I got a message from one of my closest friends. It wasn't unusual for her to send me random gossip or updates on what was happening in her life, so I didn't think anything of it at first. But when I opened the message, my heart stopped. She had sent me a screenshot from social media, my boyfriend and my stepsister, sitting way too close at a party I hadn't even known about. In the picture, his arm was draped around her shoulders, and they were laughing, looking way too comfortable with each other. My stomach dropped. I felt sick. I couldn't breathe. At first, I told myself it was nothing. Maybe it was just a friendly moment that was caught at the wrong angle. Maybe I was overthinking it. But deep down, I knew. This wasn't just a random coincidence. Something was going on, and I couldn't ignore it any longer. I called my boyfriend. No answer. I called my stepsister. Nothing. Panic set in. I felt like I was losing my mind. I needed answers. but I didn't know where to start. My heart was racing, my mind was spinning, and all I could think was, how could they do this to me? Later that evening, I knew I had to confront them. I couldn't live with the uncertainty any longer. So I gathered the courage to do it. My boyfriend came over, and my stepsister was home too. The tension in the air was thick. I could feel it. I could see it on their faces. They knew something was up. I showed them the picture, and for a moment, there was silence. Neither of them said anything. My boyfriend's face went pale, and my stepsister just stared at the floor. The guilt was written all over them. I asked them both, point blank, if something was going on between them. And that's when it all came out. My boyfriend stammered, trying to make excuses, saying it was a mistake, and that nothing serious had happened. My stepsister tried to downplay it, saying they were just really close and that I was reading too much into it. But I wasn't buying it. I knew, deep down, that this wasn't just a simple misunderstanding. The hurt, the betrayal, it all came crashing down on me at once. These were the two people I trusted most, and they had both stabbed me in the back. I screamed at them, demanding to know how long it had been going on and how they could do this to me. And then, in the midst of the chaos, my stepmom walked in. If you thought things couldn't get worse, think again. My stepmom, who had been listening in from the hallway, suddenly stepped into the room and dropped a bombshell of her own. She admitted that she had known about the flirtation for a while. Not only that, but she had even encouraged them to spend time together, thinking it was harmless. But it didn't stop there. My stepmom had also developed feelings for my boyfriend. She confessed that she had crossed some emotional boundaries with him as well, though she swore nothing physical had happened. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My stepmom, someone I had trusted and looked up to, had been complicit in this entire mess. She had known about the growing attraction between my boyfriend and my stepsister and had done nothing to stop it. Worse, she had her own inappropriate feelings toward him. I felt like my entire world was crumbling around me. After that night, everything changed. I cut ties with my boyfriend immediately. There was no going back after what he had done. I couldn't even look at my stepsister without feeling a wave of anger and betrayal wash over me. As for my stepmom, our relationship was never the same. I distanced myself from her, unable to forgive her for what she had allowed to happen, and for what she had admitted to feeling herself. Family gatherings became unbearably awkward. I tried to avoid being home as much as possible because the thought of being around them was too much to handle. Every time I saw my stepsister, I was reminded of the betrayal, of the lies, of the pain she had caused me. It was like a wound that kept reopening every time I saw her face. The emotional toll was heavy. I spent weeks, even months, trying to process everything. I cried myself to sleep more nights than I can count. I questioned everything, my relationships, my self-worth, my ability to trust anyone ever again. How could the people I loved so much, the people I considered my family, betray me in such a deep and personal way? Healing wasn't easy. It never is after something like this. There were days when I didn't want to get out of bed, when the weight of everything felt too heavy to carry. I kept replaying the events in my head, trying to figure out where things had gone wrong. Was it something I did? Could I have stopped it if I had paid more attention? These questions haunted me. But slowly, I began to realize that this wasn't about me. This was about them, their flaws, their selfishness, their inability to care about anyone but themselves. I didn't do anything to deserve this. I was the one who was wronged, and I needed to stop blaming myself. I started focusing on myself, rebuilding my life without them. I spent more time with friends who loved and supported me and who reminded me that I deserved better. I threw myself into my work, my hobbies, and anything that would distract me from the pain. Little by little, I started to heal. It wasn't a quick process. There were setbacks. There were days when I thought I'd never be able to trust anyone again, when the hurt felt as fresh as the day it happened. But with time, the pain lessened. It didn't go away completely, but it became more manageable. I learned how to live with it and how to move forward despite the scars it left behind. If there's one thing I've learned from this experience, It's that not everyone who is close to you has your best interests at heart. Sometimes the people you trust the most are the ones who will hurt you the worst. But I've also learned that I'm stronger than I ever knew. I survived the worst kind of betrayal, and I came out the other side stronger and more resilient. It's taken time, but I've rebuilt my life. I've set boundaries with my family, and I've learned to protect myself from people who don't have my best interests at heart. I've redefined what love and trust mean to me, and I've made peace with the fact that some relationships are just not worth saving. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying I'm fully healed. There are still days when the hurt resurfaces when I think about what happened and feel a pang of sadness. But I've come a long way, and I'm proud of the progress I've made. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced anything like this? How did you handle it? What would you have done in my situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your stories. And if you're interested in more wild stories like this one, don't forget to check out my other videos on relationship drama. Trust me, there's always more to unpack. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.